Hi guys, welcome to Kidmissing TV as we march through Murderous March. I didn't even realize this as I said it. This is a Philadelphia Jane Doe. She was found on February 4th, 1963. Okay, this is horrendous. It wasn't her whole body that was found. It was this part. And it was recognizable. It was in a coal bin in an abandoned building's basement. It was in a paper shopping bag. She's called the Marshall Street Jane Doe. Wonder what the truck driver was doing in there. Anyway. Oh, he was a coin collector. He was searching for coins with his metal detector. And searching in the abandoned building, which was located at 624 North Marshall Street. And of course, he opened the shopping bag because he wanted to see if there was coins in it. And oh, no. I can't even imagine. I mean, it's got to be a heavy, that's horrible. But the bag had to be quite heavy. How do I put this? I don't want YouTube to get really mad. That is one of the heaviest parts of the human anatomy. The human cranium is about 10 pounds. Because our brain is a heavy organ. Because lots of heavy canoodling goes on up there. And anyway, and the skull itself is a heavy bone. Set of bones, actually. And I can't, yeah. Again, we're in 1963. Now, NamUs states that the building was due to be demolished for construction of Interstate 676. But newspaper articles, according to one researcher, did not state this. The detective, Francis McGurk, speculated that the victim may have been killed at another location and the head thrown into the basement from a broken cellar window. Okay, except for one small issue here. And that is that the head was in a bag, buried in the coal bin. I can't see you getting it in there from the window. And obviously the blah, 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 if I could talk. Obviously, the building wasn't secure because the coin hunter got in. So, Dr. Halbert Fillinger examined the cranium. And she had died as recently as a week before. She had gray hair with evidence of having been dyed a reddish brown. It was short with volume. The head only had 2 teeth, both of which were on the lower jaw and had been worn to the gum line. This was a much older person. Dr. Fillinger called in anthropologists from the University of Pennsylvania. The group somehow came to the conclusion that the woman must have been about 5 feet 5 and 120 pounds. Okay, and they decided that her head was removed while she was still alive. Yeah. He didn't, as you have to say on YouTube, unalive her before he removed her head. It's bad enough you divorce someone's head from the rest of them, but to do it with an axe cleaver, small knife, or hatchet while the person is still living is just, that's a step beyond horror movie. And if that had been done in that basement would have looked like a horror movie. Wherever this was done looked like a horror film. Because if the person's still alive, the blood is still pumping. That means as you're, there are arteries to contend with. Hopefully she was at least unconscious before someone started hacking away at her cranium. Well, neck to be more precise, but divorcing it from her body. Let's put it that way. They found a striped pillowcase on the floor near the coal bin, which had strands of the woman's hair, which means her head was brought to the location in the pillowcase. Strands of the late female's hair. That's nice. And the bottom of it had a newspaper in it dated January 18th, 1963. All they found were recent magazines, besides that, in the basement, and a small piece of white cloth with Mayfair linen printed in the top left corner. So, like, up here. And yes, I know, for you that's the right. For me, that's the left. They even searched surrounding buildings. Nothing. She was aged 50 to 70. Now, the picture that you're seeing, the drawing, is awful, but it's the best they could do under the circumstances. She was Caucasian. I'm sorry, but if you're going to divorce someone's head from the rest of them while the person continues to be alive, there's got to be some serious anger there. There's got to be some serious, I hate your guts, something going on there. This was personal. You know, you don't do that to someone that you don't know, unless it's done after death, you're dismembering, but you don't do that to someone, in my opinion, that you don't know, if they're still alive while you are doing it. So I just think that's crazy. Okay, they think that the pillowcase might have been put over her head when she was taken, so she couldn't see where she was being taken, or I think the head was transported in it. Like, put it in the paper bag into the pillowcase, and they said, well, why was the newspaper in the bottom of the pillowcase? To soak up any excess blood, maybe. Now, this person actually has a nickname. which I did not realize at the time of writing this. Her nickname is Headful Doe. And they said the same thing I did. Someone noted the same thing that I've noted here, which is that if she was decapitated while alive, this is not an easy feat and indicates a level of depravity and anger on the part of the killer or killers. It also seems more personal. Yeah, I think I just said that. Because I'm not smiling or laughing because I think it's funny. I'm horrified. That's a horrified laugh, is what that is. I can't even. Wow. And some people think maybe the pillowcase was used as a pillow. I think they need to test it for DNA. That's this gal's opinion. Now, it is noted that 634 North Marshall Street is not too far from the Delaware River. It's a pretty decent sized river. It is very possible that the killer or killers may have deposited the rest of Headful Doe into the Delaware River, which would be difficult to find her. But as someone pointed out, and this is an excellent question, by the way, why would you put the most recognizable part into the building and dump the body into the river? Why wouldn't you toss the head into the river like a bowling ball and put the body into the building? It would be much more difficult to identify a person, although she hasn't been identified in 60 years. So, yeah, 1963, so 60 years. The original NamUs actually listed the address erroneously as 426 North Franklin Street, which is a half mile north from Marshall. It is an honest mistake, as all of the articles clearly say Marshall. What store was the shopping bag from? They never did say. And they don't know for sure. Anything about her size, anything about her. I mean, those were guesses out of East Egypt somewhere. No offense, George. It's just an expression. But, you know, you can't determine height by a head. You can't determine weight by a head. You may be able to look at the roundness of a face and say, okay, this person was probably overweight. Did she have a double chin? You know, I don't know where. Ugh. Anyway, you know, you might have been able to tell if the person was potentially overweight, but that'd be about it. She was clearly elderly, which makes this even, I mean, it's already beyond horrifying, but why? What could a 70-year-old person, 80-year-old person, and I'm going there, even though they said between 50 and 70, because my teeth are not worn down to my gum line. And I'm 50. Well, I will be 50. You know? So I think she's on the much older end of that 50 to 70 spectrum. I think you're going to find she's between 70 and 80. But who, you know, we often ask the question, who in the world would do that to a child? Well, who in the world would do that to a very elderly person? First of all, any person that would do that to another human being is not worthy of being called a human being. But if you do that, oh my goodness, to someone who is more vulnerable, who is weaker, like a child, an elderly person, a woman. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people are going to hate on that, but if you're a man, chances are if you're doing that to a woman, she's weaker than you. Um, you know, you are, there isn't a word for the monster that you are to do that to any other human being, but especially a weaker person. Someone who, like I said, is weaker. Um, like that of a child or an 80-year-old person. Um, and to do the things that were done to this person. We don't even know what was done to her from the neck down. We just know that her head was divorced from the rest of her. So, but if you have any information about Headful Doe, and I will, when I put up the video will be called Headful Doe. Marshall Street Jane Headful Doe. I think that's what I'm going to go with. You can call the Philadelphia Medical Examiner's Office at contact person Seth DeTizio, Medical Legal Death Investigator, at 215-685-7445. That's 215-685-7445. Hey, girls actually got a phone number on this one. Miracles occur. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. God bless you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I will see you next time, where we will begin 2 cases of plain evil child serial killers, and it's not about them, it's about the victims. I want those names out there. And also, a lot of people will say, we don't want to give them credit, and we don't want to do this and that and the other. And I get it, but at the same time, if we forget these people, these horrible, evil monsters, not only do we forget the victims that we know that they took, but what about the victims that we don't yet know were theirs? If we forget about them, they don't become a suspect in those cases, potentially. So I think it's important that we do remember these horrible monsters in order to make sure there's justice for other victims. So that's my opinion, and we will start that next time. Please don't let your children watch. Please subscribe to both channels. We're trying to get to 500 here and 200 over on Punky's World by Memorial Day. Thank you so much, guys. Bye. Mwah. God bless you.